Hi there, it's Nicole from Mama Elephant, and today's stamp highlight features the brand new Sunday Stroll stamp set that has all these cute little images and little boys and little girls, and it coordinates really great with these Sunday sentiments that you can see at the bottom of the card. To begin my card, I am stamping a bunch of the images from the Sunday Stroll stamp set on some watercolor cardstock, so that I can do a little bit of a watercoloring technique using the Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I'm going to be using a combination of techniques with those. I'm going to be combining the marker colors together to color some of the images and to do the kind of watercolor look. And for a couple of the areas or images that I want to really lighten the markers, I'm going to use a little bit of a water pen, a detailer brush dipped in water to lighten and watercolor the images. I'm going to start with my trees. I'm using colors 047 and 053. You can see how great those combine together to color in those trees. I'm starting with my darkest color first, and then I like to go in with my lighter color and pull that darker color out and then blend it out into the rest of the tree. If it blends too much, you can always go back in with your darker color and add in a little bit more of that dark color, like I'm doing here. So for these, I am simply using the brush markers to blend my colors. Next, I'm going to do the boy and the girl. I'm going to color in the skin here. I'm starting with 071, and then I'm going to apply some 072, a little 028 to pink up those cheeks, and then I'm going to go back with 071 and blend that 072 out a little bit. All of the marker color numbers are shown up in the upper left corner of the screen. Hopefully that will make it a little easier if you want to duplicate something that you see here. Next, I'm going to color in the jacket on the little boy. I decided to kind of go with a blue denim type look. I'm using 037 and 302. Again, starting with my darkest color, and then going to pull that color out and blend with my lighter color, which is the 302. Once I have that colored in, if I need to go back with my darker marker, I can always do that. A little blue got into the skin tone there, so I just kind of picked that up with that flesh color marker and pulled it away. For the sunshine, I'm using 070 and 050. And then I'm going to color in the dress on the little girl. I'm going to make it a bright pink with 025 and 026. Not much of that 025. It's very bright and it blends out nicely with the 026. Then for the little shirt underneath the dress, I used 050, that really pretty yellow again. For the trees, I'm using 062, and then I'm going to immediately go into the hair with the 062 and blend it out with 064. Again, if I need to pull in some more of that darker color, I can go ahead and do that as well. Need to darken it up there underneath his little ball cap. Now, I decided I wanted to make his jeans denim, but the denim on denim I wasn't too crazy about with the exact same color. So I added 034 and I took my water detailer brush and pulled that color out. So I only added a very little bit of 034 and then a tiny bit of water so it looks like some faded blue jeans. Next, for the dog, I'm using 062 and 064. Added my darker color first, and then I will pull that color out with my lighter marker. Get a nice watercolored look. I love with these markers that it helps me look like I'm great with watercolors when watercolors are definitely a struggle for me. So I think these markers make anyone look like a watercolor artist. For the baseball cap, I'm using 024 and 020. Nice contrasting bright red ball cap with all the denim that he has on. And I love how the images come to life the more color you add to them. For the turtle, I originally, you can kind of see there to the left, I started with some the brighter greens, and I went with the darker greens that are listed 043 and 046. And then for the butterfly, 083 and 025, and blended with water. The shoes are 090 and 901. Used a little 901 on the body of the butterfly as well. Now for the ducks, I used 050. For the duck bills, I used 070. And then I pulled out that yellow with my water brush pen so it would lighten again. A little 302 for the clouds, and again using my water detailer brush to pull that color out into the remaining clouds. Once all of the images are dry, which is really important, because you're going to be using a little post-it tape to hold them in place, because I like to cut as many of them as I can at one time. I'm using the Coordinating Sunday Stroll Creative Cuts dies, and I am going to cut out or die cut out all of these images here. So a few of them I have multiples like the clouds and a couple of the trees. So I'll run those through a couple times until I have all of the images that I've colored die cut. Then from another sheet of watercolor cardstock, I am going to use one of the Grassy Trio border dies. This is from the May release from Mama Elephant. And I am going to die cut a couple of grassy borders from this one sheet of watercolor paper. And that way I can layer them on the front of my card. So there are my two border strips that will help me create the scene for my card, and then the background is going to be watercolor cardstock as well. I'm going to use some tumbled glass distress ink and a large kind of flat paintbrush here that's damp with water, and I'm going to pick up that tumbled glass distress ink color and swipe it back and forth across the background of the card, mostly across the upper 2/3 portion of this piece, and I'm not worried about covering the entire thing. I just want to get a nice wash of blue color for the blue sky. Then I'm going to use the new Twisted Citron and then some of the Mode Lawn Distress inks with that same paintbrush, pick it up with some water, and I'm going to combine those two colors here for my two grassy borders. Again, I am not being really particular about covering the entire thing. I kind of went for a messier type look, but I wanted the entire card to coordinate, if that makes sense. So the images are more that watercolored look. I wanted the background and the borders to be that watercolored look as well. I'm trying to darken up there where the grass is near the top of the border. Once I have both of these watercolored, I'll set everything aside to dry. I prefer letting it air dry. If possible, if you are in a rush, you can always zap it with your heat gun to speed up that drying process. Once all of the elements are dry, I'm going to take a border sentiment from the Sunday Sentiments stamp set that says "Hello Friend" and stamp that on the border that will be on the front of the card. Now, I hadn't stamped this sentiment before, so it didn't stamp that great. I really should have stamped it on a scrap piece of paper first, which I did with the coordinating little phrase here, also from the Sunday Sentiment stamp set. But instead of scrapping this and redoing it, I simply took a black pen and I am going to trace over any of the letters that didn't get completely covered there. So that kind of saved my sentiment here, and I didn't have to redo all of those steps to color in this watercolor border or anything like that. Now that I have all of the elements for my card, I can go ahead and assemble everything. I attached both of the grassy borders to that blue watercolored background. And then I'm going to start attaching or putting together this cute little scene. I'm using a combination of tape runner adhesive and liquid adhesive, depending on the piece. Some of them are so small that I used liquid adhesive using the Zig glue pen. And I'll just keep assembling all of the elements until I get the scene built exactly the way I want it to look. And I'm using an acrylic blocks here to hold little pieces down until the glue dries. I accidentally got my trees backwards from how I did it when I laid it all out, so I just switched those real quick. And those acrylic blocks are heavy enough that they will hold any of those little pieces down while the glue dries, so I don't have to worry about them kind of maybe curling up or anything like that. Once I'm finished, I'm going to take a black gel pen and go over the eyes on the two little kids there and all of the little critters. I think that always makes them pop so much more, makes the eyes really pop. And I did the nose on the little dog as well. The last thing I'm going to do is attach my card to my white card base and then take a 1/2 inch corner rounder and round all 4 corners of the card. I think it kind of softens the edges, the corners at least, and gives it a really nice finished look. I hope you've enjoyed this video showcasing the brand new Mama Elephant Sunday Stroll stamp set and coordinating Creative Cuts dies. The supplies I've used are listed and linked below the video on YouTube. Please subscribe for weekly card making and stamping videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.